is known for its club scene, especially the places that feature live music. Now, the guests on the show tonight have been there, done that, and they're still doing that. We're going to talk about some of the great things that have happened in New York nightlife, and stick around because you don't want to miss these stories. Now, first, I will introduce my guests. To my left, a guy who put out one of the biggest songs of all time when he was in a band called the Left Banke, called Away Renee.
He did too.
Which then came back as a big hit for the Four Tops. We have...
And Johnny and everybody else. So
George Cameron, who's still playing with the band.
Am I playing with the band?
You are.
No.
No?
No, I'm going to be playing with Steve soon.
But you're playing with the Left Banke.
What?
You're still playing with the Left Banke.
Well, he had a George Cameron's Left Banke, which was...
Yeah, that was a different thing.
Okay.
Well, it's a dirty story. If it's like...
Send the kids to bed.
Send the kids to
Dirty
bed.
stories are good.
It's one of those, you're 17, you don't know about management, all you want to do is play music, you're getting ripped off, then you start turning against each other. It was a nightmare. The best time we ever had was writing, right by the piano, every day, and doing, me, Stephen, and Mike were just like killers. That was the best time of our lives. The money came in, and then we started noticing, oh, what?
Money ruined everything.
Yes.
From now on, send all your money to me. You'll be much happier. Okay.
I mean, I'm being honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a normal story for most bands.
To my right, we have one of my favorite gals. My fellow Brooklynite, my neighbor, and someone who sung background vocals for both Aerosmith and Pavarotti. I say that a lot because I think it's a really cool story.
It's a great story. I went from heavy metal to classical music.
Marge Raymond.
Hi, everybody.
And she's still playing, and we're going to hear
singing.
what she did and what she's doing.
Thank you.
But last and certainly not least, on the far end, he knows me well. He knows to stay as far away as possible.
Yes.
A guy who not only loves rock and roll, he wrote the song.
I was the original artist in 1975.
Alan Merrill.
With my group, The Arrows.
The Arrows.
We were produced by Mickey Most, who produced The Animals, Herman's Hermits,
Yeah.
The Yardbirds, the Jeff Beck Group, Donovan, and more, and me, with The Arrows.
He sounds very productive.
He was very productive. He had over 200 hits as a producer.
It was huge, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, huge.
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 Well, we're going to talk about the New York club scene tonight, but it's interesting how the connection some of you guys have. For example, Marge sang background vocals for Aerosmith, and Steve Tyler sang background vocals for you.
Yes.
So did you get a sense when you were working with him that he was going to be as big a deal as he ended up becoming?
No, he used to, we used to watch him play. He was part of the crew. And no, we had no idea.
How
Then he
old
just
was he when
disappeared.
he was with you guys?
And he made it.
How old was he when he was with you guys?
Oh, 15,
15?
16.
Yeah.
We made it at 17.
He was in Yonkers High School. He was like the big cheese in Yonkers High School.
Yeah, exactly.
The alpha
Yonkers High
male.
School.
But he found his way. He found his way.
I always thought they were like from Boston, weren't they?
Yeah, he found it in Boston.
Yeah, that was Joe Perry's Boston.
Yeah.
That was Stephen's beef all the time. He would say to me, "No, I'm from New York City." I said, "No, you're not. You're from upstate." He said, "I'm from Yonkers." I said, "That's outside of New York City."
Now, we're going to talk a lot about clubs in New York tonight and other places, but one of the interesting connections between you and Alan is you opened up for the Left Banke.
Opened up for the Left Banke 2013 in the Perilla Arts Center in Maryland. I did that solo acoustic. And then at B.B. King's in New York with my band in 2013. Yeah. I think that was April. Yeah. That was fun.
That was great.
Yeah. My mother came. My mother was at that gig.
It's great playing with this guy. He's such an easy person to play with. You know, it's just natural.
George guests with me often in New York. He comes up and sings Away Renee with me, which is a treat for me and the audience. So.
Well, I still remember going with you after we did my radio show one night to B.B. King's. Speaking of B.B. King's, I'll never forget, here I am watching the guy who wrote I Love Rock and Roll sing it, while John Paris Johnny Winter's guitarist is playing. The drummer is the drummer from Wings and Mott the Hoople.
That's right. That
and
was
in the corner,
Steve Holly. Yeah.
and in the corner, Ian McDonald, who founded Foreigner and King Crimson,
he's
is
playing
playing
tambourine.
tambourine.
Steve played with the Beatles.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably don't get that in Wyoming.
No.
No, no.
You can't get that in
It's a New York
New
thing.
York either.
Yeah. So you never know who's going to show up. It's like a beach.
Yeah.
You know, every day something else.
Hey, come on.
I'm a
over.
beachcomber. I like finding people. It's always fun.
Do you guys
It's
remember?
fun, right?
Do you guys remember the first time you went to a club in New York, like George?
Yeah. It's called The Scene.
The scene.
The club
yeah.
was called the Scene.
You remember The Scene?
Yeah. Steve Paul.
My friend Charlie Cazalet, I don't know if you know Charlie.
I know
You know
Charlie.
Charlie.
Of course I know Charlie.
He lived across the street above a place called Smilers. And so we used to go to The Scene every day. And that's the first time I saw the Chambers Brothers. You know, and if anybody doesn't know the Chambers Brothers,
We
well.
were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Spirit. I saw Spirit there, their first gig in New
Yeah.
York.
And the Nice. Remember Nice?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
with Keith Emerson?
Yep.
Yeah.
You saw them in a club in New York?
Yeah. And then it was Ondine's. Do you remember Ondine's?
Sure.
That's when I first saw Buffalo Springfield for the first time, The Doors for the first time. I'm aging myself, but
No, we're all, you know.
You know,
I
we're all
except
there.
for Marge.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember.
why can I lie?
I started going to concerts very young, but the first club I went to, it was either like the week the Bottom Line opened, I went, but I also saw Ray Manzarek speaking of the Doors at Max's Kansas City.
Okay. Max's was a great place to hang out. Oh, that everybody hung out at Max's.
I miss
Everybody.
Max's. I was in England and Japan that whole time.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, but it was a great place to go.
So,
It's just to be
I heard
hanging
about
out.
it. I
I
heard
was in
about it.
once in a
Just
while.
to drink and hang out.
so
The late Mike Montgomery of Backstreet Crawler told me he used to love bouncing chickpeas off of the late Lou Reed's head at Max. That was a story he loved to tell
Did
when
Lou
he got
notice?
Who noticed?
Did Lou notice?
Probably not.
No.
Somebody noticed.
Yeah.
Somebody
Mike,
got hit.
Mike noticed. Mike was great.
So, Alan, what was the first club you went to? You remember your first club?
The first club I played at in New York was the Cafe Wa in 1966.
Oh, wow.
And I was actually playing there before Jimi Hendrix when he was Jimmy James and the Blue Flames. And we had all sorts of interesting people at the Cafe Wa. At that time, there was John Hall, who eventually founded Orleans. He had his group Kangaroo there. And there was Bruce Springsteen with his band, the Castiles. And the first day that Bruce came to the Cafe Wa, I remember, he started unloading all his equipment into the street. And I said to him, "What are you doing?" I was on a break. And he said, "I'm going to set up my stuff." I said, "No, you don't want to do that. You want to go with the back line at the club, or you'll never play here again if you move all the equipment around." He started putting the stuff back in the van. He said, "Thanks for the tip." And they got the gig. They were a regular act at the Cafe Wa, same time I was with my band.
You made Springsteen's career.
Well, I got him kick-started.
Yeah, kickstart.
I actually saw him in a club. I knew a guy who booked the Peppermint Lounge in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he told me, "Come down tonight, something's going to happen." And Dave Edmunds was playing. And Springsteen wrote a song that Edmunds had as a hit, from Small Things, Big Things, One Day Come.
Yeah.
And Springsteen showed up and did like 4 songs with him.
Nice.
At the Peppermint Lounge?
At the Peppermint Lounge on like a nowhere night with 50 people in
Didn't
the
know
room.
that.
Wow.
I knew that that other band, Peppermint Twist, was there.
It was cute because the kids who had strict parents couldn't grow their hair. They had to have like long hair in the front that they slicked back for school. And then they come and play at the Cafe One and let it down. But they couldn't have it over their ears. That's how it was back in the 60s.
So it was let your hair down and have a hell of a good time.
And my mother was in Japan. She had remarried and was living. I had my own apartment when I was 15 in New York. And I was living on West 72nd Street near John Lennon's place, Dakota. I was just down the block before John was living there with Yoko. Anyway, so yeah, it was a great time to be in New York back then.
It was.
The other club I played at was the Palm Gardens. There were these freakouts with this group, the group Image.
The Palm Garden, I remember
Artie
that. How do
Schlotter.
you know
And
that?
they were I was playing there when I was 16. And they had naked dancers. And I was 16 looking at these naked dancers. And this is, before like they have they had the bikini wax. So the girls had this like enormous, they may as well be wearing something because they had so much pelvic hair. down there. So, you know, but they were topless, dancing around and freaking out, and, you know, everybody was on LSD back then. It was quite amusing.
Speaking of LSD, you knew Tim Leary, you were telling us.
My mother's best friend, Peggy Hitchcock, was from the Mellon family, and she was sponsoring Tim Leary's early excursion before he was a household name. I went up to Millbrook and I stayed up there on, you know, school holidays. This was 1964, you know, long before Tim Leary was a household name. And Susan Leary was putting LSD in our food every day. The kids, she was cooking for the kids. And Maynard Ferguson's kids was there, you know, the trumpet player, Kim Ferguson, and the little brother. We were all tripping, and we didn't know what it was. I was playing middle C on the piano, and colors coming up from the piano, and everyone was asking me, "What is it?" I thought this adolescence was really fucked up, you know? But it was the drug. And
you had a colorful childhood, basically. Yeah.
In the end, Jackie Leary, Tim's son, pointed a loaded rifle at me right after Jack Ruby was. Shot Lee Harvey Oswald, and I thought, this is it, I'm going to die. He said, how does it feel that I hold your life in my hands? And I was like, hold on there, just calm down. And I backed out the living room door where the TV was, and they kept re-showing Jack Ruby shooting Oswald. So I thought, this is not good.
Yeah.
So I actually got out, and I ran zigzagging to this bowling alley they had where there was no electricity, and I hid there until the morning, and I told my mother, I'm getting out of here. I don't care if you're staying. So I took the train back to New York. From Poughkeepsie.
How long after that did you head to Japan?
1968. So it was 4 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Marge,
yes.
your early club experience, can you remember the first time you went to a club?
Yeah, Action House in Brooklyn. The Action House. That was
Where
like
was
with the old Ben Mastic's Town and Country Club. Action House was like phenomenal in Brooklyn. Right. And then, of course, we'd go to the Village, Cafe One, and everything there. And then the Electric Circus on St. Mark's.
Yeah.
So that was, we were talking about the Chambers Brothers. Oh my God. They were in your face.
I know.
Because, I mean, the stage was like just a few inches off the ground. And so everybody was like out of their minds on all kinds of psychedelics and time has come today.
Wow.
They were great.
You know, and it's like everybody's like, you know, but it was great. Action House was great. You got to see the Rascals play there, and I mean, it was just a great, great venue. And then I got to play.
I saw the Birds at the Action House.
Where?
The Birds at the Action House.
Birds?
1965, yeah.
That was, I guess,
I got to play with
Dave-
Skip Batten from the Birds.
David Crosby?
David Crosby was still in the band, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I sang background vocals for New Riders of the Purple Sage. And,
Wow.
and Skip Batten was the bass player
That's great.
from the Birds, and he joined
I
the
forgot about
Nerps.
that band, yeah.
Yeah, I toured with them. That was like, I'm wearing a David Bowie shirt, and they're the good old boys, you know. And it's like, I had Iggy Stardust on a shirt, and then they're playing Panama Red, you know, and Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother, and I'd be listening to Led Zeppelin and you know, all the great rock that was out at that time. So I was like, what am I doing in this band? But it was great. It was a great paycheck, you know. A touring background vocalist made a lot of money. He did. You made good money per diem every day, and you know, instead of using your per diem, you ate road food.
Sure.
You know, what was ever in the rider for the band? What was ever backstage? That's what you ate.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, usually.
Road food, that's right.
Aerosmith had to have a roasted turkey. That was part of their rider. Was roast turkey
And a lot of liquor.
Was it anything
lot
like
of everything.
Spinal Tap, trying to get the sandwich right?
Yeah, that was probably, I'm sorry about that. I was in England. My drummer Paul Varley went to the filming of Spinal Tap, and he was kind of coaching Christopher Guest. And if you look at Paul on the Arrows TV show, and you look at Christopher Guest in Spinal Tap, they're the same person. And Paul told a story about me and the meat. I was a spoiled little brat in the TV dressing room, and I said, "What are they thinking with this tiny bread and this big meat?" I mean, and I was folding it, going, "It doesn't fit." See, and it was breaking, and I threw it against the wall.
Alan was the inspiration
Paul
for Paul
never forgot that, and he told them about that, and I think that's why they used it in the movie. So
It was one of the better parts of the film, actually.
I know. Well, it's real. You can't make it up.
Did you have anything to do with the Stonehenge scene?
Nothing at all.
No, okay,
No, I've been
good.
to
They said that
Stonehenge.
whole movie was
Do you
ad-lib.
play on 11?
Really? Yeah, probably.
The
Yeah.
whole movie was ad-lib. There was
Yeah,
no script. There was nothing.
Have you ever played on 11?
Always.
Always.
Yeah, 12.
Every band plays on
12 sometimes.
and beyond.
Yeah, I break the amp.
I remember Sammy Hagar in Montrose.
Yeah.
Poor guy screaming. You never heard a word he said.
Good talent, Sammy Hagar.
Oh, he had
Very
great voice.
talented,
Yeah,
yeah.
great voice.
Yeah.
Montrose was
Hagar?
a good band when you could actually make
Yeah.
anything out.
Yeah. He covered a Runner song from my band, Run for Your Life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wabo Cabo.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar was great.
Oh,
Now he makes tequila. He has
yeah, right.
a
That's
tequila
right.
company.
That's right. He makes booze now.
That's right.
But amazing voice, amazing. And just like lead singers can never hear themselves. Soundcheck, yeah, okay. And then when everybody turns up,
Yeah.
so I had to learn how to sing by memory and pray that I wasn't singing flat.
Because in the sound check, the band play on 5.
Yeah.
And they get to the gig, everyone turns up to 10.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
11.
Always.
That's always the way it
Yeah.
happens.
Always. And so the lead singer always suffers.
That's right. It's true. Can't hear yourself.
And back
All
in
the
the day,
vocals
there was no
suffer.
ear monitors, the wedge monitors, or even side fills. It was
I'm
just.
saying, thank you for bringing that up because that always happens. Sound check sounds great.
Yep.
But when it comes up, everybody gets up
Yeah.
and then vocals can't hear each other.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a nightmare.
A nightmare.
Yeah.
A nightmare. So you pray that, hope I didn't sing off key. And so I used to like to sing in memory. In my mind, I could hear myself singing. And so it was like, I used to pull it off, but it was like
But what do
very
you guys
hard.
think the complications are to playing in a club as compared to a bigger arena? I know as a drummer, not being too loud is sometimes an issue.
Arenas and clubs are totally different animals.
Yeah.
It's two apples and
Yeah,
oranges.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have to do to be successful in a club differently than you would in a bigger
You would
space?
hope for good monitors, really. And that's the key.
A big arena, you
Yeah.
have better equipment.
And don't play with amps that are too loud in a small club.
Yeah.
You know, I bring
Forget
a
it.
Fender Champion 30-watt amp for a small club. It doesn't need more than that, you know. Yeah.
I was always
People don't get that.
They always had Marshall stacks behind me anyway. So I mean, it was like whether I was in an arena or a club. That's why I'm so deaf today. It's like
When I was playing with
Stacks.
Meatloaf, I had my own private PA system. Everyone in the band had their own private wedge. It was like with 6 12s. And so you would have your own mix. And I would say, give me the kick and snare and the bass and a little keyboard, and I'm good to go. My own voice. And, you know, Meatloaf's voice, of course.
How was it playing with the Loaf?
It was fun. I was thinking about that, you know, some amazing stuff. Like, we played the Hammersmith Odeon in London, and the whole cast of Rocky Horror got up. And I'm standing next to Richard O'Brien, who wrote Rocky Horror, and we're singing Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, that Meatloaf did in the movie as Eddie, which was amazing. Then there's the downside, where we had bottles of urine thrown at us on stage at the Reading Festival. We weren't exclusive with that. It was
I
like
don't remember that at the Waverly.
Bonnie Tyler was before us, and she was getting the same treatment, which was horrible.
Bonnie Tyler?
And Meatloaf jumped off the stage and beat up 3 people in the audience who he saw throwing things. Then we were vamping on Paradise by the Dashboard Light. He goes down, beats up 3 people, comes back on stage, starts singing again. It was unbelievable.
it's funny. I used to use his rehearsal hall, Neverland Express,
yeah.
and they would use my road cases when I was with Flame. So we had the same. It was his manager, was my entertainment lawyer. So that's how
Okay.
I used to go up to Bearsville and work with him up there.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
Very nice guy.
I was at his wedding when he got married.
He was best man at my second marriage.
Oh my goodness!
He signed the wedding certificate.
When we were
Wow.
playing with the Loaf, was Chasm in the band with you guys?
No, it was Steve Buslow was playing bass. At the
Chasm
time.
just did the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck Berge was playing drums with us. He's now with Billy Joel. And he's a great drummer, lovely guy. And the 2 backing singers were sisters, Amy and Elaine Goff. And we had a few keyboard players over the years. I was with Dominic Cicchetti, who was Liza Minnelli's keyboard player.
Wow.
And Frank Doyle, who's a great piano player. And also Paul Jacobs came in once in a while. Paul's amazing. He writes for Sesame Street now with his wife, Sarah Durkee. And yeah, those 3 keyboard players we had during the time I was with the band. And I played the guitar and sang. Paradise.
Give me a home.
Can you guys think of any unusual characters that you dealt with in clubs in New York? I remember.
Give me a break.
Did you guys go to the Ritz much in the 80s? Because I went there all the time, and this guy, Michael Moranti, was the head bartender upstairs, always with a cowboy hat.
The Ritz.
And he was just like a real interesting, colorful character. Any people like that stick out in your mind?
Yeah, there's a guy, I don't know if you know, Mike Quashie.
No.
No, he was like this really Jamaican guy who was just all over the place, and he was wild as sin. And he was fun, but, you know, he was a wild character.
What was his role?
He had no role.
Oh, okay.
He was just an entertainer who just came in someplace and started having fun, and everybody thought, go, this guy's cool.
There was Josie at the Cafe Wa.
Yeah, like same thing.
Josie was a very out gay man who had a little cat,
Right.
and he used to always come up to the young boys who were playing at the Cafe Wa. Springsteen was terrified of him. I had to walk him off the ledge about Josie, because Josie would come up to you, he'd grab your crotch and go, "How's your hammer, honey?" And he'd say, he'd wink at you and go, "It's not the real thing, but it's a sure thing." Those were Josie's key lines. And in the end, Bruce Springsteen wasn't afraid of Josie anymore. And you know, you see Josie with black eyes because he'd come up to sailors and they'd punch him out. It was terrible, but it was funny, and it was good times.
Now, people like that, do you run into any of them now? Are they still
No.
like, functional?
No, I saw Vic in Greenwich Village, who used to do the door at the Cafe Wa, about 10 years ago. He was across the street and he waved at me. I was like, can he possibly remember me after all these years? But I didn't go over and say hi, but he must have. It was strange, but I remembered his face. There was Vic and Tex. They did the door at the Cafe Wa. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no characters like that anymore.
No.
No, those guys are really, they stood out, and they were fun to hang out with,
Yeah.
but, you know.
No more of that.
Marge, anybody you can recall, bartenders, door people?
No, I remember people backstage more over than, you know, in the
Right.
place. It was
interesting.
who came backstage. You got to remember, I was always the only female in a male-dominated industry, and so what I used to see backstage, I don't think I can talk about it to anybody, but I saw it all, and it was some wild and crazy stuff, and there used to be. I'm sure you guys know this too. There would be groupies that would follow you from city to city to city.
right.
The same people would show up all the time. And how did they get, I used to wonder, how did they get backstage again? We just flew from, you know.
How'd they get the
How
money
did
to
they
travel?
how did they get here? That used to, and then I would ask the band, how do you know these people? Oh yeah, we know them. They're on every guest list with every gig. So it was the same faces all the time.
They're friendly with the roadies. That's how they get
Well,
in.
yeah. and then the roadies, of course, everybody knows this. For you that don't know this, roadies would go and look in the audience for good-looking women and give them a backstage pass. And all of a sudden, they would appear in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, as being the only woman, I was just, you know, I
It was
knew
a bountiful buffet for the band.
It was
A
like
smorgasbord of groupies.
I became one of the boys, so it was like they forgot I was around. I became invisible. You know, Marge was invisible. So
Speaking of being the only woman, I mean, I know you've told the story on my radio show, but the story with you and Robert Plant is an interesting one, aren't you?
it's one of the greatest stories in the world, I think.
You and Plant?
Yeah,
I
Robert
gotta
Plant.
hear
Okay,
this.
so I'm in St. Louis. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. We're on the road with Flame. Flame was signed with RCA. Jimmy Iovine, our producer, as you all know, he's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
They just did a 4-part segment on HBO with him, the Valiant ones. I was his first production, so he used to love to come on stage with us too. So now we played at the Agora, which was the great clubs
Oh, I love the Cleveland.
of the
Agora,
Midwest.
Yeah.
Zeppelin was playing the arena. So our gig ended. We came back to the Swingo Celebrity Hotel in Cleveland. And I think everybody stayed there. And so I'm there. We go, wow, look, Led Zeppelin is coming back. each member of the band had their own limo. Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, Bono. I mean, they had their own limo. And so I said, let's go down to the bar. Maybe they'll be at the bar and we could talk to them. We all go down to the bar. Sure enough, they're there. And so I go up to Robert Plant and I go, hi, I'm Marge Raymond. I'm lead singer of Flame. And he goes, you're what? Because it was like very unheard of female lead singer back in 1977. So he says, you sing? I go, yeah. And all he wanted to know was, how do I keep my high notes? He started talking shop. And so I said, I have a gift for you. I have my tour shirt. He says, a tour shirt. It was like, giving him like the Hope Diamond or something. He was like, a tour shirt. I ran upstairs, got him the tour shirt, and he loved it. Because you have to remember this, he's so isolated. He says, by the way, where are we? I said, we're in Cleveland. He didn't even know where he was. I says, we're in Cleveland. He says, where are all the women? I says, I'm the only woman. I says, and because he's looking to pick up a woman. And I'm like,
I never heard
you're not going to get anybody.
Security, yeah.
Because they cordoned off the entire street. And they had The Song Remains the Same, the movie, so they were absolutely huge. Yeah. And so nobody from outside could come in. And so it was me.
A groupie-proofed location.
Yeah, it was just me. I was the only woman. Me, 38 Special, the American League umpires. And so it was just 1,000 men and me. And so I was like, and they're talking to me shop, about how do you sustain your voice. And it was like I was highly respected, It was like, wow, she's a lead singer of a rock group, we're not worthy type of thing. I said I couldn't believe that Robert Plant actually was like so into the way I sang. And then as he goes on the road and I go back on the road, in the fanzines, I would see him wearing my tour shirt.
Cool.
It was great because it was Brooklyn and Flame. We used like the Brooklyn Dodgers logo, Brooklyn. And so I used to see him on all these photos. I think he must have wore it out. He loved it. So you got to remember, you're very insulated and isolated, especially when you're a super group like that. So they don't get to really meet a lot of people from outside. And they just, you talk with other band members that you happen to bump into. So that was a great, great time meeting that man. And Jimmy Page was talking to Jimmy Crespo, who was playing guitar in my band. Talking shop, talking about what strings do you use. You're like, I use a, Gibson Hart, Black Beauty, and they're talking about all kinds of stuff. So it was just talking about music. It was great. It was really great.
Now, one of the great things about Alan is he is a multi-continent kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's like been successful playing in different bands and at least
I had to evade
continents.
success, so I had to keep moving.
Right. How would you say the New York club scene compares to what it is in other places?
It's different.
You played in Japan a lot, right?
I love the Japanese scene because the clubs are very creative. You can go into a club and it's all Egyptian themed, and you have like King Tut and little pyramids and things, and you feel like you're in Egypt. It's crazy. and then you go back there the next year and you say, I'd like to go to that club. Gone. It's just gone. I remember when I did the tour in 1990 with my band Vodka Collins, which we started in 1971. But we were doing a reunion gig in 1990, and we went to this club Gold after the show, and I had the Coconuts from Kid Creole and the Coconuts, my backing singers. I had Robin Lemasurier from Rod Stewart's band as my guitarist, Donnie Kisselbach from the Derringer Band on bass, and we had Japanese guys like Hiroshi Oguchi and Shinoya on keyboards and drums. So we went to this club Gold after our show at the Ink Stick Club in Tokyo, and we had dinner, and then we had a sauna, and then we all went into the pool naked.
Typical.
And that was filmed. I have no idea who has the film, but I mean, this is Tokyo, and so the Tokyo clubs, Gold was like 4 levels, with on the roof there was a pool and a sauna, and after you had dinner you could go up there and take your clothes off, and that's what we do.
That's what you do.
And then you go back 2 years later, and Gold is gone.
Aww.
These clubs, they come and they go, and I think it's a tax issue. I think they have these elaborate clubs, and then In order to lose taxes, they go bankrupt and then they move on to another
Well, it's
one.
like in New York,
That's
same
the
thing.
same. A good
The
deal,
same.
a good meal and a sauna
Yeah.
or a pool.
No.
You can't beat that.
And the coconut snoot in the pool.
Drugs are very prevalent, obviously, here in the club scene. What's it like over there?
There's a lot of clubs to play. A lot of clubs to play.
Something drugs.
Drugs.
No drugs in Japan. No.
I was wondering how that.
Unlike New York.
Very difficult, and the penalties are. This is why my band Vodka Collins kept breaking up and having long hiatuses, because our band members kept getting locked up in prison for long stretches in prison for possession of illegal substances.
Wow.
And my first band broke up because they were all foreign guys, and it was called The Lead in 1969. 2 guys got deported, and we were on RCA Victor Records, and that was the end of the band. I went solo after that. I love being in the band, all talented guys, but solo was the way to go. I knew I wasn't going to get deported because I wasn't stupid enough to do drugs in Japan. The penalties are ridiculous. Paul McCartney got busted there. He spent two weeks in prison with all his money and legal representation. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no. There's no drugs in the Japanese scene. In underground, there's pot and there's pills, and people still sniff glue and stuff, but no.
Sniff glue?
Yeah. That was the
glue
legal,
bag.
the legal way. Legal
I
way.
remember
Oh
that,
my God.
when I was a kid. I wonder if people still do that.
I don't think.
You
Well,
gotta have better stuff
when
than
you-
that.
I
When
saw
you're
them in
desperate, I
Japan
think.
doing that in Harajuku in the park.
Ew.
They're all with the bags and the glue.
That's
the
terrible.
glue bag, yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
That'll destroy
Give me
your
my
lungs.
glue
There's
bag.
the brain. Very bad for your brain cells.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Don't do that, kids. Never.
Don't try that
ever
at
do
home.
that. Don't sniff anything.
Don't listen to
Don't
the Ramones.
sniff anything.
Don't sniff.
Don't smoke anything.
Don't do
The
nothing.
Ramones said, now I want to sniff some glue. No. They're all gone.
They have other weird stuff
Case in
now.
point.
Oh, they got worse stuff now.
Yeah.
There's this,
Thankful.
Drugs today
I'm
are
blanking
terrible.
out on the name of it, not because I've done it.
Drugs today are
But,
terrible.
Yeah, it's very
This-
bad.
I
Don't even
did
do it.
an episode of my show on just like weird stories in the news, and this guy tried to have sex with a tree after doing, talk about getting a woody, but after doing this stuff, I'm blanking out on what it's called, but it's this weird stuff from, I think, Asia.
Really? Did people say get knotted?
Oh,
to
there's
them?
that crocodile and what's all the crazy stuff that's
Splinter.
K2 and all that.
Fentanyl.
Whoa.
Well,
Well, fentanyl.
Yeah.
People with
That's
stage 4 cancer,
Yeah.
they give fentanyl, but people are doing it.
recreationally, and they die.
They
It's
step
terrible.
on other
Yeah.
drugs with it. So
Can we talk about music?
yeah, let's talk about music.
Yeah,
Heck,
yeah.
Don't
No
do
more
drugs.
Pretty Ballerina.
No more drugs. Let's talk about music,
George's
man.
band had a song, Pretty
So-
Ballerina, that was a hit song for the Left Banke, and was also in the film Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee was all over the place too, and
Pretty Ballerina, Desiree was another hit song. So,
Leonard
you know,
Bernstein
Yeah.
criticized it as one of the best Baroque kind of, if you want to.
Leonard
call it
Bernstein,
that.
he loved Pretty Ballerina.
You heard it, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Leonard
yeah.
Burns. His 100th birthday next year.
Wow.
He loved that song. He thought it was like a magic song.
How did
Yeah,
you,
well, it is
Phenomenal.
a magic song.
how did
Yeah.
you guys
Maestro.
react when the Four Tops covered Walk Away Renee and it was again so successful?
Terrible. Well, we didn't care. I mean, it was okay, but it's a
I'm
little.
sure Mike
it was
Brown made a
little-
couple of bucks.
A little more funky.
Yeah,
was
they changed the melody a bit,
Yeah.
to suit their.
It didn't have Steve
approach.
Martin's like
Yeah.
killer voice.
But who had the publishing? Because that's who makes the
Oh,
music.
forget that.
Wouldn't it be
It was
Mike
sold
Brown?
and resold and resold.
The
Oh,
publishing always publishing makes you money. The songwriter and forget it.
See, when you're
That's
17,
where the money's at.
you don't
Wait,
realize
is
that.
that true? Can people make some money off of a song?
Huh.
Because you wrote,
Well,
I've heard,
you wrote
I've
a
heard,
couple.
I've heard
Writers'
that,
royalties.
I've heard that my song "I Love Rock and Roll" has made over 50 million British pounds to date, and a sliver of that has filtered over to me, which
But
is
you
why
own your
I have a problem with.
publishing.
I don't.
Oh,
It's Mickey Most owned the publishing.
well,
That's
he's the
rack-
one. He's
rack-
the one
rack
going
music,
to the
yeah.
bank with it.
Yeah, and I held on to my writer's share all these years.
Yeah, me too.
And I never gave up any of my writer's share.
Yeah, hell no.
So that that's been an annuity for me. You know, I have a lot of other songs, but
times.
yeah.
Who else did that? Was it like
Britney Spears
Britney
did it, and she had a hit everywhere else in the world except America with it. In fact, Britney made the Japanese charts top 30 with it, and Joan
Wow.
Jett didn't. Joan Jett didn't crack the top 100 in Japan with that.
Wow.
She's considered a cult punk artist in Japan, and they don't make the
wow.
top 100. But Britney made the top 100, top 30 with that in Japan. Miley Cyrus has done it on her.
Miley Cyrus did it?
on her
Everybody
double album,
has
yeah.
I
done
gotta
it.
hear that.
It's like everybody's done
Tiny
it.
Tim did it.
Tiny Jim did it?
Tiny Tim did 2 of my songs. He did Movies and I Love Rock and Roll. Movies he did in
But
1972.
Miley Cyrus, I love it.
Miley did that. People in England like the band Hello, who did the original New York Groove, did I Love Rock and Roll.
Wow.
Shawadi Wadi have made an album title track on their Greatest Hits album. Alvin Stardust did it on his Greatest Hits album. So, I mean, it's just been covered in been tons of commercials, Toyota commercial,
Yeah.
Sony commercials, you know.
But are you getting
Of course,
from
yeah.
the union?
That's
yeah.
why the
you got to always put in.
The tax man is coming after me.
Yep.
And he got my money this
Oh
year.
my God.
Well,
Yeah.
I sang with ELO, and every time I see like a Hyundai commercial or different commercials, and my voice is popping out on the background vocal, I'm immediately sending something in to the union. And here was at the Super Bowl, last Super Bowl, oh my God, I said, there's one of the songs on my voice. And I go to the union and they send me back a note. Jeff Lynne re-recorded his entire everything he ever wrote. He just re-recorded every instrument, every vocal, everything. So everybody that formerly worked with him no longer
But
gets
do you get
anything.
anything when the record sells? Because it's still the original version of the record, right?
It was a union job, so when you first do it, you get your union scale.
Yeah.
Then when it converts into a movie, it was in gold member. It's a conversion rate from the union. Then once it goes into a commercial, it's another conversion rate. So you do make not a lot of money, but some money every time it converts into a different platform. So, but you have to, put that slip of paper into the union. Otherwise, they're not about to contact you.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, Jeff Lynne was very smart in re-recording his entire, catalog, everything. That's why for years you didn't hear about him.
Yeah.
He was home re-recording everything. So now he's absolutely huge. They're back out and they got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But my voice is on Evil Woman, along with Susan Collins, Ellie Greenwich, the great Ellie Greenwich,
Yeah.
and the late Nancy O'Neill. So, it's like a legacy to be on some great music. Really is. So I'm happy about that.
Ellie became a governor of Naris.
Oh,
I
Ellie
served 2
was
terms,
phenomenal.
and then she took over the rock person in Naris. I was a governor of Naris for 2 terms. And then she was.
Ellie Greenwich was the
Amazing.
queen of pop. Queen of pop. Sorely missed.
And
Do you go to clubs, George?
do I go to clubs
I mean, anymore?
anymore?
No?
He goes to the sidewalk.
I go to
cafe.
side. Well,
There you go.
is that a club or is that
Sure it
a
is.
haunt?
No, that's playing a club.
Yeah, I do. There's a couple of good places that have some really good blues bands. Otto's.
Hard to find.
How do you think the club scene in New York is compared to what it was? Is it better? Is it worse? How's it changed?
Worse.
Worse?
There's no places to play anymore.
Right,
There's
yeah,
nothing.
No places
Nothing.
to play.
And
And
too
wherever
many
you go, it's
bands playing for free.
That's right.
Yeah.
it's not like
Because I remember when I was playing in the 80s, there were a ton of places.
Not anymore.
remember
That place
tramps and all that stuff.
Well, we
It's
used,
not around
we
anymore.
used to play at the Ritz. That was a great place.
The
And
Ritz, I played there with Derringer and Meatloaf. A great place.
Gildersleeves.
Yeah.
Gildersleeves.
Yeah.
Tracks. Remember
Tracks.
Tracks?
Of course.
Yeah,
Tracks.
72nd
I
Street.
played the tracks.
Yeah,
I'm friends
72nd
with
Street.
John Montgomery, who used to book the bands at Tracks.
Okay.
And with Tim Finnegan, who used to book the bands at Gildersleeves. Still, they're both, ironically, in Florida now.
Gildersleeves played that too, with Flame.
Now where do the guys play? They play at little bars and stuff. And
Or they
It's a
go
hit
on
or
the
miss
road and
kind
they
of
go
thing.
in the Midwest. Rock and roll is still big in the Midwest
That's true.
or in South
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
Or New York, forget it.
yeah, I know. It's
In Williamsburg, maybe in Brooklyn, you got a
I
little
haven't been
pocket.
there, so I don't
know.
You got a
Greenpoint.
pocket. You got a pocket of
And even
clubs
Bushwick
over there.
was kind of becoming...
Yes, you got a pocket of clubs. But like what I do, cover music. I do cover music with Generation Gap. So we work every week. I work
That makes
every
money, yeah.
weekend.
My daughter does that. She does covers.
I do cover
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
There's a big following for
That's
that.
right.
So I work every single weekend in like restaurants and places like.
And they pay.
So let me say
They
something
pay.
to you.
We actually make money.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing to you. What's good about Ellen, and maybe her, she has a band, really good band. And that's what I'm used to playing with. Today, guys are playing with 50 bands.
Mercenaries, you're saying. They don't
Yeah.
stick together.
Mercenaries, they're
Yeah.
trying to find out who's going to make it first. I can't play with people like that. You know, I'm used to finding somebody that I like, and then maybe the association, and you know, you form a band, but it's not like that anymore.
And it's hard
I've
because
heard that.
nobody's going to hire a big band anymore.
Yeah.
But
unless you
nobody-
want to work for free.
Nobody,
Right, true.
no musician wants to hang out with one guy or a bunch of guys unless they. You got to really believe. You know what I mean? You got to believe the music, and he's got a band that believes in the music,
Yeah.
The industry's
and it's
changed.
great. That's
There's
why I
no
love
more
playing
industry.
with this guy.
So, there's no more music industry. It
That's
died.
true. The music industry is gone as we knew it.
Yeah.
Gone.
In order to make a hit nowadays, you have to have your song involved in a film that's a blockbuster or in a TV show that's a hit show.
Yeah.
And then you will sell downloads, and that's where the charts are. But there's no MTV, there's no VH1,
No.
where there are videos and there's a chart, and you go into a store and buy records, and that's how you make
It's
the charts.
social media now.
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
Instagram and Facebook getting you? There's this one. I see this one kid. He sells himself all the time on Instagram. He does all the, and he's a young guy, so he gets the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I see his marketing,
about the girls.
which is really
Some old
really
guys get
good.
the
You have
girls.
to market yourself a completely different way. Back in the day, for us, we had people working for us. Now you got to market yourself. You market yourself through social media.
That's right.
So it's all social
True.
media now. So there's no more industry as we know it.
Speaking
it has
of social
died.
media, I have a new album out. It's called On a Blue Avenue, and it's just out yesterday.
All right.
Today, Monday. Yeah.
It's out today?
Yeah.
Good. Can
How
the
come I didn't
people
see it?
actually-
Congratulations,
Thanks.
Alan.
A record, or are we talking all downloads?
This is a CD. It's up for downloads on CD Baby. It should be in the system in about a week. It's amazing. I did the whole album with just two people, aside from myself. My daughter Laura sang the high harmonies because family vocals. It just works.
Wow.
Right.
And then John Gordon, who's an amazing guitar player. He played on Suzanne Vega's Luca, and he played on Madonna's early stuff. I had him I like a little different flavor from my sort of Paul Kossoff-ish, Keith Richard-ish guitar
Paul
playing.
Kossoff.
You know, he plays this sort of more schooled, sort of guitar. So I take a solo, John, and he did. He did some wonderful solos on it. So there's only 3 people on my album.
Do you have any new
Well,
music out, George?
I wish you luck.
No, I don't. I hope to have soon. But like I said, it's just not interesting anymore. You know, you can't find 4 guys or 3 guys or 2 guys that even get along and form something.
And you have to target films. You have to target TV shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's your target. I did
You got to be a writer nowadays.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I did a variety. And Tom Thayer from the Left Banke
Yes.
team got me into writing songs. I was like 15 years old. I went up to the Left Banke studio. He said, "Let's write a song." I said, "We can write songs."
He's good.
And we started to write a song. I thought, I can write. Okay. And the Left Banke did some demos, and one of the songs was "I Have Been Searching."
Yeah.
And they never released it, but I did it. I did that. Tinkerbell's in the room. I have been searching is a song I performed on Young 7-2 on Japanese television, and I got to tell Tom Thayer that the only time his song was performed anywhere was on Japanese TV.
Wow.
And it's a great song. I've been searching.
Really?
Yeah.
And I actually have a song on CD Baby and iTunes and all that crap.
Cool.
Well, Land of Broken Dreams.
All right.
All right. Social
Hey,
media.
I can't plug it on my own show. Okay.
That's
pick
excellent.
That up. I
And
expect the full
my
review.
albums are for free because everybody. What'll happen is
How come
somebody
I
will
got- how come I got
download your
nothing?
stuff. You'll eventually get your stuff. Like
No, I
they'll
want
take
your
it
stuff.
once and then they put
They
it on
bootleg it out of
the
Russia,
internet,
Ukraine.
and then everybody
yeah.
gets it for free.
That's true. Ukraine,
So
Russia,
it's-
India, Pakistan. They just bootleg it.
Yeah, it's bootlegged
Yeah.
all the way. So,
Yeah.
but
Some of
I
it
still
gets
sing
you.
every week. That's
There
all
you
that
go.
matters. So and I still get hired to do background vocals and arrangements. So
That's
it's
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend Steve Wardjiri, who used to sing with Journey, he puts out songs and he puts them on the internet and before they get downloaded. And I'm his go-to person for background vocals and arranging. So he was in my band, I was in his band, so it's great. It still
You
works.
played with a lot
And
of people.
Generation Gap, that's my group now.
You played with a lot of people.
Who?
You.
I played with
Oh,
just
wow.
about everybody. I'm the most famous unknown person. That's the name of my book going to come out. Most famous unknown rock star. So I've played with a lot of people, but I'm not a household name.
We know
Well,
more
you
about
can keep doing stuff like this and you get there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe before I leave this earth, you'll all know who I am.
From now on, we all know you in this house.
That's right. We're on the Andy Troy Show.
Yeah, Andy
Now
Troy.
you're in trouble.
That's right. We're on a great show.
And what are you going to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
You left me speechless, George.
Well,
So, what did you play in the band? What's your deal?
I was a singer, songwriter, and a drummer.
Oh, you're the drummer.
Yeah.
Well, both drummers were like, no wonder we're communicating so well.
There you go. I love to play drums.
Did you know my friend Blue Ocean?
But I loved it. No. But I love Billy Cobham, Mitch Mitchell.
Yeah.
Mitch Mitchell is my dream guy.
Mitch
Yeah.
Mitchell.
Yeah, he's
I
great.
still
He kept time the best, didn't
I
he?
still thought nobody put on a show like Keith Moon, though.
Oh, and
That's
Keith
true,
Moon,
yeah.
well, yeah. He was a nut.
That's
We
a
knew
league
Keith.
of his own.
Yeah.
That's,
Or Mike Giles, I thought was very interesting. The guy from the original King Crimson.
Right, Giles.
There's great drummers out there.
McDonald and Giles, great album. Just the two of them.
Jay Giles Band?
No, there's Jay Giles Band too. And you know, Peter Wolf said to me, I was doing an album with a New York producer. I won't mention his name because I don't want him to make any money. But Peter Wolf came up to me in the studio and said, "Don't do this," because the project was in this guy's name, and I was the lead singer. And Peter Wolf said, "Quit. Get out of this situation now."
Wow.
And I'd already done 2 albums with this guy, and I was happy that it didn't make the charts because I would have been people coming up to me going, "Mr." And it wasn't me.
Oh.
You know, because that Peter Wolf had that, Mr. Giles.
Yeah, Mr.
No, I'm
Giles.
Peter,
Yeah.
I'm Peter Wolf. I'm the lead singer.
he
but
was so good.
He's great. He was the
fabulous.
he sold the songs. He's a great frontman.
Great frontman.
Yeah.
Phenomenal frontman.
He's
Jay
still out
Giles
there.
was
Yep.
a diminutive character. Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, but he's still out there.
He's still out there. Yeah. He sang backups for
It was
me.
tough being an opening act for them. I knew a band called the Loners that toured with them back in the 80s, and they came out with this like little suits and narrow ties,
Yeah, that was the
and the
80s.
crowd started chanting "New Wave sucks" and shooting hot pennies at them.
That's
They lasted 3 shows.
New
Hot
York
pennies.
audiences are the
No,
hardest.
this wasn't New York. This was Boston.
I got a question.
New York is the worst.
Yes.
Where did the bands we like today?
New bands, you're saying?
Yeah, today.
That's what I've always said.
right.
We're going to go to the same thing.
Yeah.
They're making
Maybe 9 Inch Nails.
they're making great movies.
Nine
They're
Inch
making
Nails
great
been around a
TV
long
shows.
time.
Where's all the great
But-
music?
Yeah.
They're going. There's no
Well,
writers anymore.
They go retro.
Yeah, they go retro.
They play classic rock on the movies. You know.
That's right.
Commercials.
I'm
I've
glad I
never
got
seen
a
the
classic
amount
rock
of
song in there.
hit songs on commercials that you see now. Every commercial.
Because that's the best music that was ever recorded.
That's
was
true.
it already was,
Right.
and we are part of it. So that's.
But on
that
British
makes it
TV,
great.
they're playing the Arrows B-sides on like We Can Make It Together and what was it? My World Is Turning Out Love. They're playing it on these TV shows. So they're going back in the catalog, but they're not playing new people's stuff. They're playing old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they missed the old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's no writers left.
Yeah.
right. There
And-
are writers,
and
but
alternative
I'm
guys
available.
are
Writing getting-
sometimes
I'm a
pretty
writer.
good.
I'm
We're all
available.
writers.
Forward my information.
What?
I'm available. Too.
There was a
Of
movie
your
called
people
Things
call my
Behind the
people.
Sun that used all Left Banke material. The whole movie had Left Banke songs in it. I'm sure a couple of your co-writes are in there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What movie was it?
Things Behind the Sun.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
about a rape of a young girl.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all Left Banke music.
Wow.
That's interesting.
I heard,
It's a
yeah.
heavy movie, and the Left Banke's music is very emotional, so it fit the film. And the girl who directed and produced the film is a big Left Banke fan, so it was great.
That was a heavy movie.
Great homage to your music.
Right.
though,
I
you
know.
Did,
Yeah.
But it was-
did your music get used in movies much?
Sure. I mean, too much.
Come on.
I love rock and rolls in about
Well,
50
yeah.
movies now.
So is mine.
But,
No,
you know,
that, of course.
But Touch Too Much by the Arrows, it was in the Paul Raymond biop about the king of Soho, the strip club owner. And I'm singing Touch Too Much while this girl is a stripper and she's bent over a table doing a line of coke. I thought that was fantastic. So your old music comes back in different forms, and you're always delighted when that happens.
I had to make my own movie to get a song in there.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best music.
Yeah.
It really is. It's already happened, but we still do it. That's why I'm in a cover band, and we have.
Who's famous now?
following.
Journey. You know who I got into lately? The Kinks.
Kinks are amazing.
Kinks.
The Kinks, and so is
Yeah. You know why they didn't make it as big as the Beatles or the Stones? They were banned from coming to America.
Wow.
Because Ray Davies had a
Waterloo Sunset.
Ray Davies had a fight with a TSA agent, and the court ruled that the Kinks weren't allowed in America for 5 years.
Really?
Wow.
And those were critical years in the late 60s where the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were making their inroads in America, and the Kinks weren't allowed.
And they were huge.
Yeah.
Great music.
Yeah.
Amazing songs. Ray Davies.
Cheap Trick, too.
Yeah, Cheap Trick. Well, they were a corporate rock band, and they did very well. They were backed fully by the corporation.
I heard songs about them that I'd never heard before, and I said, what? So I got to learn to appreciate the
Speaking of
Kinks
Flame,
and
The
Cheap Trick.
Flame was a great song
Did you know
by Cheap Trick.
Tom Peterson?
Oh, yeah.
Tom
Flame
Peterson
was my band.
Tom Peterson wasn't a member of ASCAP until he talked to me in 1985, and Rick Nielsen told him, "You don't have to belong to ASCAP. You're not a part of the. You don't write the singles." And in fact, the whole Cheap Trick live at the Budokan, Tom Peterson had some co-writes. He could have been making about $200,000, $300,000.
Wow.
And after I talked to him, I said, "Don't walk, run to ASCAP and join." And he did. And he owes me now.
I'm with BMI.
I may have nicked a pair of his
No, I'm
boots.
moving to ASCAP.
I may have stolen a pair of his boots, but he owes me.
ASCAP is much better than BMI.
Yeah.
You in ASCAP?
Yes, ASCAP.
Yeah, I've been in BMI since the...
I'm BMI.
No, BMI, I just got screwed by Tom. You don't want to know that.
We
Well,
do.
It's,
We do. We want controversy.
No, we don't want controversy.
No, we don't.
No, we want up-tempo stuff.
I love ASCAP since they went digital. Now I'm being paid
Yeah,
fairly.
ASCAP is much better.
And when it was, you had to fill out those little cards, and they had this, a surveyed system, and it was weighted toward the MOR writers like Marvin Hamlish.
I'm still getting checks from BMI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Helen Schneider covered one of my songs. Helen Schneider's from New York, but she's huge in Germany.
Yeah.
So she covered one of my songs, so I'm still getting mechanical royalties, and then you'll get BMI then send you,
But I think ASCAP
Gotcha.
gives you a little bit better.
ASCAP have been great to me recently. They've been phenomenal. I can't
Because they
complain.
pay you
but
for singing, playing, and all the other stuff,
Can
whereas
you
BMI doesn't.
switch?
You can switch. There's like a window of opportunity.
Oh, I know. I'm
Every
gonna
3
switch.
years, and you can move over. And the best tip for young people, have your publishing company with one association and your writer share with the other association. You can cross-balance. That's the way to do it. If you
Like
publish your own stuff, which I do now.
Let's talk later.
Yeah. You have to make
This
your
show
own
is
publishing
educational.
company.
That's what I like to say.
I have my own publishing, easy for me to say, publishing company.
Oh.
Yeah, and of course, now all 15 songs of my new album I publish myself.
Great.
Well, me too. I have
Yeah.
my own
So,
publishing
where
company.
can people
Everybody.
get the
We
album?
learn from past experience.
Where can people get the album?
On CD Baby, my album's out today.
That's
And it'll be in the system next week. It's called On a Blue Avenue.
What
that we
is?
walked
That's
down. On a Blue Avenue.
On a
that
Blue
we
I
Avenue.
can't
walked
wait
down.
to hear it, Alan.
He
Because
always comes up with good
life
stuff.
can be depressing.
On a Blue Avenue.
In this
is
business.
depressing.
In this business, it
Can be.
I mean, I wrote I Love Rock and Roll. It was a hit for Joan Jett in 1982. I was selling guitars in 1985 to pay my rent. I was getting endorsement deals with guitar companies and getting like 15 guitars and then selling them so I could pay rent. So what's wrong with this picture? Why wasn't I getting paid? Then Britney Spears did the song in 2002, and suddenly I get windfall. I get my first, six-figure check, and I go, ooh, this is what it was supposed to be like.
Yes.
So, life
So
is
you weren't
good.
making big money from the Joan Jett?
No,
era then?
no.
That's
That's why I played with Meatloaf. If I had got big money, I would have funded my own band and got on the road.
I got to hear Britney Spears do this.
Yeah.
I never heard it.
Oh, Britney does it sexy.
Really?
And that opened the doors for a lot of commercials because she made it sound pop. And that's what, when Joan did, it's very punk and rock. And, people don't hear it as something that could be a commercial. But when Britney did it, it was like, ooh, this could be done in pop because it's melodic. It's a melodic song and it's got a rousing chorus.
You know who did something similar for Renee was Ricky Lee Jones. You ever hear her version?
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
she turned it over to something.
My friend Sal Bernardi was part of that team, the musical team. He lives in Paris now.
That is the best version of Renee I've ever heard.
Yeah, Sal is amazing.
Yeah.
Pardon
Wow.
me? You don't like my cover?
Yeah, I love your cover.
Joking.
Talk about commercials. That's where he made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well,
There was a period in time where everybody was making big
Well, we
bucks
still-
in the jingle houses, you know.
Well, we still got some time. I want you guys to get some plugs in here. Where are you playing, Marge?
Okay, this weekend I'm at Il Finetto's in Sheepshead Bay, near your neck of the woods. And then at, Michael's Martini and Meatballs in Staten Island. So I
Martin, Martini and Meatballs?
Yeah, Michael's Martini and Meatballs.
That's a fun gig.
Yeah.
It's a great place. It's on Highland Boulevard in Staten Island, so you get the whole Staten Island crew coming in. That's a whole world of itself over there.
I know.
And then in Brooklyn, on Emmons Avenue, Sheepshead Bay is always packed with people.
Yeah, I drive past that place
So
all the time.
I'm there, and then Maria's in Sheepshead Bay, and the Old Bermuda End, and of course I'm a tour guide at the Greenwood Cemetery.
Singing tours of Greenwood Cemetery.
You're
Every
a tour
Wednesday
guide?
and Sunday. Yes, I'm a history buff, and I sing. Leonard Bernstein is buried there, so I do excerpts from West Side Story.
Oh.
So, Marge,
Nice.
how did people, do you guys have a mail list, website? What's going on? How do they find you?
GenerationGap.cc or MargeRaymond.com.
Okay.
And you can always see where I'm working. I'm always somewhere, someplace.
Are you
And-
playing, George, anyway?
I'm going to do a thing with him on the 25th, I hope.
25th is Saturday, the 25th. The
Yeah,
I Love
and
Rock and
then,
Roll Saturday night.
Oh, how fun.
Last Saturday night of every month at the Sidewalk, New
Right.
York.
And then I'm heading to Florida to sing with Steve
Excellent.
Martin, and hopefully I'm going to get him in
Terrific.
the
Yeah,
game.
I'd love to.
So
love
you still
to-
got half, when he's
We
there,
have great voices.
so when you
Three of
got
us.
Steve, you still
Oh, I
got half
should
the
sit in
original
with you
band.
guys
right?
one day.
Absolutely.
I have
Well,
to come
no.
and sit in.
Steve's about the only guy that has soul left. Everybody else is like into...
All right.
Stevie's a great.
That ended that conversation.
I'll be in England on December 15th, 16th, and 17th in Keighley, in Brighton, playing the Brighton Beach.
Oh, Brighton.
And
Nice
in
over
London at the O2 Academy on the 17th with the Glitter Band from Gary Glitter's band, but
Wow.
not without Gary,
Wow.
doing all the Glitter Band hits, and with Hello, who did the original version of New York Groove, and my band, the New Arrows, because I'm the only one of the Arrows still left alive.
Wow.
Okay.
So I'll be doing my songs Touch Too Much, My Last Night With You,
We are heading out
and coming up.
shortly.
Rock and roll!
Are we going this way?
Our YouTube
Bye,
channel.
everybody.
Subscribe, The Andy Troy Show. Our Facebook page. Like me. I like you. The Andy Troy Show. Contact me at andyftroy@AOL.com or Facebook or YouTube. But find me. I'm very, very lonely. We'll see you next time.
We love Andy
We love
Troy.
it.